Poland holds the biggest military parade in decades as its clout in Europe grows. CNN. Poland is holding its largest military parade in decades on Tuesday in a flex of defensive muscle that comes as tensions rise on the border between the NATO nation and the key Russian ally, Belarus. Poland's defense ministry said the celebration of Polish Army Day on Tuesday would be marked by the showcase that includes 200 units of Polish and foreign military equipment, 92 aircraft, and 2,000 service members. The parade includes some of the latest technology Poland has in its arsenal, including US-made M1A1 Abrams tanks, South Korean K2 tanks, and K9 self-propelled howitzers, HIMARS rocket launchers, Crab self-propelled howitzers, as well as US-made Patriot missile battery systems, which are part of the policy Wisla air defense system. Poland has emerged as one of Europe's leading military powers in recent years after pouring billions into new equipment following Russia's decision to annex the Ukrainian peninsula of Crimea in 2014. Warshaw's diplomatic clout has also grown in the wake of the instruction in instrumental role it has played in supporting Ukrainian since Moscow's full-scale invasion. Last week, Poland announced the deployment of thousands of additional troops to its eastern border as concern amount over the presence of Russian Wagner mercenary forces in Belarus. Poland shares borders not just with Ukraine and Belarus, but also with Russia's semi-exclave of Kaliningrad by staging a massive showcase of power on Tuesday. Warsaw is sending a message Russia and Belarus are bound to understand, the expert said. The US made Avram tanks are displayed during a massive military parade to celebrate the Polish Army Day in Warsaw. The Polish president Andrzej Duda arrives for the military parade in Warsaw on Armed Forces Day on August 15th. It's sort of a Soviet thing to do. Russia does theirs on May 8th. Belarusians have them, as does North Korea, Iran, each kinds of reflecting back their language. The adversary states see these parades as the show of force, so Poland is going to meet it with a show of force. Edward Arnold, the research fellow at the British security think tank Lucy, told CNN. At the same time, Poland is just 2 months away from major elections, and Arnold said that aside from showing its capabilities to Russia and its allies, the Polish government is also seeking to reassure its own people that it is committed to security. The governing right-wing Law and Justice Party is hoping to secure the third consecutive term in power, which would be unprecedented in post-communist Poland, but it has so far struggled to take the decisive lead over the opposition civic platform grouping. Security issues are really important alongside the economy and the living standards, which is not surprising since a war is taking place in Poland's border. Alex Swajerbiak, a professor and the head of the politics department at the University of Sussex in England, told CNN. Demonstrating their competence on security is absolutely critical to the government's re-election, he said, adding that the issue cuts across the political spectrum. Nobody is going to say that military security is not an important issue and that we shouldn't be. strengthening the military. The opposition will say the government is putting on this parade as a kind of the election stunt, but they won't say, boosting the Polish military is unimportant. Poland's role within NATO has changed dramatically in the past decade. According to Jamie Shaw, a former NATO officer, a professor of strategy and security at the University of Exeter in England, and a fellow at Chatham House. If you look at NATO 10 years ago, before Putin annexed Crimea and launches the invasion of Ukraine, NATO's primary focus was mostly Middle East, Afghanistan, and those kinds of missions in which Poland participated, but only to the small extent, he told CNN. But since 2014, with NATO swinging back to focus on Central and Eastern Europe, the importance of Poland in the alliance has gone up massively. Arnold said the power shift among NATO's European members is not noticeable. The leadership used to be the UK, Germany, France, and then together with the US, the Quad was the group that sort of decided things and that became NATO policy, he said. With the UK out of the European Union and Germany still hesitant to take on a leadership role on Ukraine, Poland has seized each opportunity. They've got so very good relationships with the Baltics, are very vocal on defense and security issues, and Russia has always been a major threat. So if you are thinking about this from the Washington point of view, then Warsaw looks like a good bet. Arnold added, the linchpin of the West's support for Ukraine. Poland has dramatically increased the amount it spends on defense in recent years, from less than 2% of its GDP in 2014 to 4% this year, according to official NATO statistics. That makes it the biggest spender in terms of GDP share, above the US. Crucially, more than 50% of Poland's investment is into new equipment and research and development. If they stay on track with all of these different procurement plans, they are going to be the EU's and NATO's European military superpower, Shaw said. By one calculation, if they purchase all of the tanks from the US, the Abrams tanks, and the tanks that they've ordered from South Korea, plus modernizing what they have at the moment, they are going to have more tanks than France, Germany, Italy, and the UK combined, he said. Poland has emerged as the key ally for Ukraine, which makes it vulnerable. Most of Western military equipment and other supplies get to Ukraine through Poland, and the country is hosting 1.6 million Ukrainian refugees, according to the United Nations. The whole linchpin of the Western effort to support Ukraine and keep it in the fight crucially depends on Poland, Shaw said. The much of the training of Ukrainian soldiers is taking place in Poland, and the Poles have also been setting up a lot of repair shops where the Leopard tanks can be fixed and sent back, and a lot of Ukrainian soldiers who were wounded are treated in Polish hospitals, he explained. At the same time, the government is ready to prior, prior, prioritized, prior, prioritized its voters. Law and Justice has shown that it is willing to upset Ukrainians big time where it feels that the alternative would be the alienate Polish farmers, Shaw said, pointing to Warszawa's decision to ban imports of grain and other food products from Ukraine following a surge in cheap goods. Warsaw is now trying to extend the ban. And while Poland clashes with the European Union over issues including the rule of law and migration have not gone away, Warsaw is making it clear to its allies they need each military powers. The current government relationship with the EU is pretty fractious, particularly on justice and home affairs issues and other issues as well. But Poland wants to try and minimize those viewpoints and sort of emphasize to the EU that they make a really big contribution to security and they don't want to jeopardize that in any way, Arnold said. US Air Force F-35 jet and Polish Air Force F-16 jet participate in the military parade. The members of a military band arrive for the Armed Forces Day parade. Belarus tensions. Recent events in Belarus have shown that the risks Poland is facing are not purely hypothetical. In November, two people were killed in eastern Poland, about 4 miles, 6.4 kilometers west of the Ukrainian border, by the Ukrainian missile defending against the incoming Russian fighter. Ukrainian and Polish officials described the incident as an accident and blamed the Russian aggression for their death. Russia used Belarus as the staging ground when it launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. More recently, thousands of Wagner mercenary fighters are reportedly sent there last month as part of the deal to end the group's armed insurrection against the Kremlin. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko asked the group to help train his country's military, and earlier this month the two forces held joint training exercises near the Polish border. It was during these drills that Warsaw accused two Belarusian helicopters of violating the Polish airspace. In reaction to the incident, the Polish Defense Minister Mariusz Błaszczak told the Republic radio that 10,000 soldiers will be sent to the border. 4,000 would directly support the border guard, and the remaining 6,000 would be in reserve. Belarus has weaponized the border in the past. In 2021, Lukashenko was accused of the manufacturing a crisis there by flying migrants from the Middle East to Minsk and then sending them to the EU border in retaliation for Europe's sanctions on his regime. CNN's Antonia Martin Gorilandu, Catherine Nicholas, Isa Suarez, Anna Gorkovska, and Jesse Gretner contributed reporting.